folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm Don, this is Rockin' the Country. You saw the title. Well, this is a donation request. I always like to acknowledge that first. Dan Sigurdson made a donation for me to do this song. And Henson Cargill. And Dan, I don't know, it was like a year ago, requested a song by Henson. And I did that one. And I hadn't heard of Henson, but I remember it was good. And going backwards, I don't know what this is, but it's a donation request. So first, shout out and thank you, Dan, for that. And for those of you who want to know, the information's in the description box because people will ask, how do I do it? The PayPal link is in the description box of every video. That description box below the video is always there. And Dan, let me see, did you dedicate this to anybody? No, Dan, you dedicated this to everybody. So folks can leave your comments for Dan. I don't know this song. Going backwards. Being that it's a Dan request, I can't even imagine what I'm getting into. Starts like a Dan song. Ooh.
Astronauts and cosmonauts and spaceships in the sky. $1 billion price tag just to get that thing to fly. While a man looks down and sees his hungry children as they cry. We go upward to go forward, going backward all the time.
Interesting social commentary.
Our cities and our people, they reek with blood and pain. 'Cause some just do not trust a man whose color's not the same. But they'll trust him in another land to fight a war and die. We go upward to go forward, going backward all the time.
Interesting, yeah.
Our children in confusion, they don't know where they stand. A product of society that they don't understand. So they escape into a world with no control of mind. We go upward to go forward, going backward all the time.
I wonder what caused Henson to write this. I mean, most people have social awareness on some level or thoughts on it. Today with social media, people have lost their minds because they're behind a keyboard instead of face-to-face, where civility tends to reign to a much greater extent than when you can just blast something out there. But interesting the way he is presenting this. I wonder when this was written and done. It sounds like it was pre-70s even. So I don't, or if it was in the 70s, it could have been, you know, Vietnam-minded. But all right, let's see where he goes with it.
The man who said that God is dead wears a collar too. But why should God have anything to do with me and you? We put our faith in fools and we expect to save mankind. We go upward to go forward, going
that I like
all the time. We've got to find the answers to the problems that we face. Not only here, but everywhere, and save the human race. Let's raise a flag and say that it was made by all mankind. Let's go upward and go forward, and not backward all the time. Let's go upward and go forward, and not backward all the time.
Interesting that he started with the spaceman up in outer space, and we tend to think of like God in the heavens. That's the common view. And so he kind of brought that, but he brought everything right back down to earth and said, our problems are right here. We've got to make better choices. We've got to stop being contradictory. Like we wouldn't, in the song, we wouldn't trust somebody of a different race to do whatever here, but we'll trust them to go fight in another country. And yeah, I mean, our decisions are our own. Or what did he say? He said, like, there's a man who believes in, he didn't call him a preacher man, but he said, but he wears a collar too, who says that God is dead, but he wears a collar. And it's like, well, there's a contrast right there. But I've been saying this for decades, even when I ran in pretty hardcore Christian circles after college for about a decade. Even then, I was like, the decisions are ours. You know, so often people will spend time praying, you know, should I give $5 to this person who's starving? And it's like, that's not really a decision. If you've got the $5 to give, you give it. You don't go pray about it. You don't offload your thinking onto another being, whether it's God or anybody, assuming you believe in God. Just, that's a human being right there. That's where we have to start. That human being matters who's right there. And I don't. We've kind of lost that track in a way, and sometimes it's almost like we've returned to the wilderness where it's like animals fighting, you know. And I get that. That's kind of part of things. There's always going to be a difference between people, but if we come to trust one another and rely on each other's strengths, and you can rely on my strength, and we decide, oh, I'm going to help you because you need help with something. Maybe you need help lifting that thing into your pickup truck, or I don't know, I need help fixing something in my head, and you'll do it. You'll help me. I'll help you. If we look at each other's strengths and say, wow, you're better at that than I am. Good, I could go to you for that. And when we do that now, it's like when you have a toothache, you go to the dentist because the dentist can fix it. So you say, all right, well, that's your strength. That's your gift. I'll give you money for that. But I don't know, there's a lot of thoughts that go on in this. I don't mind space exploration. I actually kind of like it. I love kind of figuring out what's out there, because if that helps us here in some ways, and I don't know, I read an article in I don't know if The Economist or something about 20 or 30 years ago, that for every dollar that's spent for NASA, they turn around and they license out some of their technology or sell their technology, and like $7 comes back to them. I don't know if those numbers are reliable, but it did make me think that, okay, some of the money that's being spent is coming back. Because I do think about the inner cities. I think about the poverty that exists there. And you can't just you're just not going to throw money at people, because people need to be prepared to deal with money and that. But you can create the conditions for which it's better for people to make a living or just have a more peaceful life. But Dan, very interesting choice on this. I thought it was going to be funny because the Tom T. Hall song was funny. Some of the other ones you've requested were funny, but this was a social commentary. So, all right, I'm going to rate this song. It's an odd one for me to rate too, because the some of what he said still applies to today. Some of it less so, but I'm going to rate it just as I experienced it. It intrigued me. The number that popped into my head was an 8.5. Yeah, it wasn't overly political. Brought up some salient points. Whether people agree or not, it does provoke thought. And I like that. So that was from Dan to everybody. And I'm sure he'd want to say HAKAD. He'll say it himself, but I'll say it on his behalf, so you guys can thank him for this, and there you go. All right, folks, hope that worked for you. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video. Keep rocking the country, and thanks again for the donation, Dan. HAKAD.